my goodness, what a play!
Fumble the ball, and Denver has recovered. Oh, my!
Dempsey kicks, it's on the way! It is! Good! It's good!
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions!
Oh, he caught it! Oh, unbelievable!
All right. Welcome, everybody, to episode 12 of the FOMfanatics podcast. We are back. We are live. We got an exciting episode for you today. Some interesting new content. What is going on, Phil?
At the moment, just chatting with you, Jam. Prior to this, I was trying to improve my my finger dexterity for a piano song I'm trying to learn. I got the last one. I figured out the Billy Joel one. I've got it. It's good. Now I'm trying to figure out one where it requires certain combinations of fingers that don't work well together, like from a muscle standpoint. And it requires being able to know where keys are without looking, and I'm not that good at piano.
Yeah.
So it's going to take some time.
I always gave it a shot. I really tried to learn, but it was not like, it just doesn't, it's not something I can easily do. My brother, like, since he was a kid, was just like a natural with the piano, and I was like, if you can't do that, I guess I can't do it, and I just like
if you're not great at something, it's not worth it.
If you're not excellent immediately, it's not worth it. Yes, hey, Nico's here, and you are not wearing an Eagle shirt. Am I the only one's repping Birds gear?
Well, it's
Are
Wednesday.
we this disappointed?
It's Wednesday. If I start wearing Eagles gear just every random day of the week, I become that guy. I don't want to be.
You'll be like everybody in Pittsburgh. Remember everybody in Pittsburgh all the time? Like game day, we saw people in Steelers gear. It's like, cool, that makes complete sense. I see that makes sense. The next day and the day after, everyone in Steelers gear.
Yeah, the next day I could kind of get it's like work day after the weekend. You come in, you show your pride. If it's Tuesday and you're still wearing football gear around the city, you need to reconsider.
So yeah, one thing before we get into anything else, I feel like we need to address exactly what Chris is bringing up. What is this your piano player name?
It is not. I was just thinking
the Burninator.
I was trying to think of just some random weird name to put in, and somehow, I guess, I don't know, someone's going to tell this better than me, but in the early 2000s, I think there's an internet cartoon website called Homestar Runner. And one of the characters on Homestar Runner was a guy named Strong Mad. Strong Mad, yeah. Strong Mad was his brother, but Strong Bad. Strong Bad had his own alter ego. I don't know if it's even an alter ego or if he's just telling a story. But there's a character that Strong Bad plays called Trogdor the Burninator, and I don't know how I remember this from forever ago, but that's the name.
This is the weirdest, deepest reference I've ever heard.
Pretty obscure, but I guess Chris found it.
I like that Denver enjoys our intro. Denver has not. I should look up that clip and just play it a couple times in honor of Denver showing us love here. And the biggest downer, just because we were mentioning the Eagles about how badly they're doing, is just taking the shit from the Oakland fans. For example, Jason throwing out Phil has finally learned.
What have I finally learned? I don't learn things. I got all my learning done by like 25.
I'm just genius from now on.
I'm dug in, and I'll never change.
All right, so we're going into week 12. And so the playoff picture is starting to round out. I think we got some really interesting content you put together for today's show. What do you think? How do you want to do this? Should we talk a few key games last week before jumping in?
Oh yeah, I think we gotta keep them in suspense for a little bit here. I mean, we're showmen, Jam. We are showmen. You gotta build to it.
Well, last time around, and this is just, I feel like all of my electronics are just failing me, my internet, my computer, everything. I tried to navigate to another site last time, and it crashed my computer. So I'm going to need you to pull up the comparisons of games. And I think this time around, we'll just talk about a couple of the real key ones that made a difference.
Yeah, so we're starting in Ben Wyatt, right? That's what I suggested earlier.
I got the branding. Look at the
account.
branding; it's right there. Everybody knows.
Yeah, but I'm looking at the actual league website so that we have content. So I don't see what's going on. I can't see anyone's comments.
All right, I'll throw you a message when we've got a comment, or I'll let you know when we got a comment.
All right, maybe I can just double screen this shit. I only have one screen, but at least put it on two different sides of the screen.
One screen with double screened.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was
broken everything. Okay. Hang on, let me get back to the website.
By the way, does anybody like this stupid app for MFL? This is so goddamn annoying. I hate this app. I figured out how to use it, and I figured out what I need to do with it. But it's why can't I do everything the website I can do on the website?
There's so much you can do on the website. MFL is good that way, but then they found no way of organizing it. So on an app, it's going to be even harder when it's you have 100 different options in your menus. Let's put it into an app.
I would rather than just make a mobile version of their you can do that by just going to their mobile site, which looks just like the website, but it's still hard to navigate. It's just annoying. So I'm going to pull up the scores from last week on the app and see what this looks like. And Ben Wyatt, what were the key games? I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the big ones was Hollywood versus Enniscorthy, because Enniscorthy was still pretty in it in the competition, and that whole division that was like a three-way race. Projections that I had was saying Enniscorthy would fall out, but people had hope and the team was in it. And then Hollywood came and laid down a 46-point beating on them or something.
Yeah.
Hollywood
showed up.
Yeah, this is going to have playoff implications. I mean, it's a good look for Hollywood. Their problem is they had no quarterback, and then all of a sudden, boom, Taysom Hill is now the quarterback. That
good quarterback.
Help you if you make the playoffs, though. So,
well, Taysom Hill played against the Atlanta secondary, so I think we have to keep some of this in perspective as to how well he did. But I was impressed. I really thought that he would bomb out. Every time I've really seen him throw outside of that game, it hasn't looked good. But he was hitting his targets. He was making some good plays.
Yeah, I definitely, like you, though, want to see more with Taysom Hill, because not only is it the Atlanta defense, but if you're the Atlanta defense and you're trying to prepare for this guy that no one has really seen play more than a handful of downs at once, you don't usually running know what his style is going to be and how he's going to be used. So you probably start thinking, okay, let's game plan around a running quarterback, because that's what you're going to think with Taysom Hill, right? But the way he played, he was much more of an actual passer than he was just trying to run on every play. So until people get some film on, okay, this is the style he's going to be playing, let's scheme to it, it's just completely wild. This is why more a lot of times I think you'll see quarterbacks who come out of nowhere and people will be like, who is this guy? It's the defense doesn't know who this guy is either. That's where his success is coming from. Give him a week or two. Luton looked fine in his debut, right?
Well, Luton, Gardner Minshew. And it's he managed to sustain it, but at first it was what the fuck do we do with this guy? Because didn't expect him to be a scrambler, didn't expect him to be that mobile, and didn't expect his arm to be as strong as it was. It was nobody knew what to do with him.
And I think it's worse with Hill, because he played the exact opposite, like you would think.
Yeah,
it wasn't really coming out of nowhere. You had the opposite opinions. So
yeah,
we'll see how that does. But I mean, it's a big win for Hollywood. That they're right in contention now for that division title.
Yeah, and Hollywood it was started really hot, and then I felt had a couple bad performances, but has moved right back into it. And obviously, playoff QB is going to be an issue. Because Drew Brees is going to be back. Is that confirmed? It seems like they're targeting him
back. He might not be back until week 14, week 15 instead of week 14. But he'll definitely be back by the second round of the playoffs.
So yeah, that's gonna play a huge factor, because he literally has no.
On Enniscorthy's side, They started out the season pretty hot. Aaron Rodgers, he was killing it. He's still doing well. No doubt he's still doing well, but he was just historic at the beginning of the year. DeAndre Hopkins, again, still doing well, but he's had a few off games against the Dolphins where he got 6 points. He got pretty well covered against the Seahawks last week. I'm not saying he's not good, but this is what's leading to some of these recent losses. The biggest problem, though, CeeDee Lamb, who went from holy shit, look at this rookie who's getting more targets than like all their veterans, to quarterback's gone. Now everyone on the Dallas offense is basically useless.
Is this actually Hollywood coming in? Hey, Hollywood just needs to find his game in managing QB to ride out the season. Yeah, well, but then the playoffs.
He's got Cook and Thielen. I mean, those are key, and Andy Reid always is likely to get him a ton of points. So he has some key pieces, but there's also a drop-off. Like, you don't want to see Malcolm Brown starting for a playoff team. And you really don't want to see a gaping hole starting at quarterback. But
what about Brandon Allen? Anyways. Were there any other impactful games that were like kind of like game changers for anybody?
I mean, there were things that really mattered. So Houston beating Las Vegas, that one had a lot of impact. Anyone who's in the playoff situations, and we're going to get to that shortly, their games mattered. But I mean, in terms of it mattered both ways, I think the Houston-Las Vegas one is the one to talk about there. So for Houston, they're still in this. Yeah. It's not looking good, but it's possible that they still make the playoffs at this point. So this win wasn't this. Everything needs to be a win and a good win going forward, like a 3-point win. And for Las Vegas, this kicked them out of the division lead. So they now have a bit of more of an uphill battle to face because, well, I should point out they're getting the wild card in the division pretty much no matter what. So there's not a lot of stress coming out of this, but the division winner does get some amount of money. I don't know. And, money's money. So and people want to win the division.
Yeah, this is probably still the most interesting division, but obviously I think we'll get into that as we break down the predictions. So on that end, should we dive right in?
Yeah, let's go into this, and it's noteworthy that we'll go over every team,
every single
as little
team.
Detail as we need to.
All right, buddy. Let me know who you want to discuss first.
Oh, okay. I thought there was like a slide order, but I'll just go in the slide order I've got here.
Yeah.
So the first one we have is Malibu.
Malibu. All right. Bam. There we go.
All right, so Malibu was simultaneously one of the simplest and most complicated ones to figure out. One of the simplest because they've made the playoffs. There's no question here. The division is clinched. But the amount of different scenarios that make it they get the bye week versus someone else gets the bye week.
It's interesting.
It's enormous. Like this took forever to figure out for this.
This is a really full slide, Phil.
I know. They're not all this bad. This is just because of Malibu's crazy scenarios here. But what it all comes down to is, they're in the playoffs and almost certainly they're getting the bye week. Like 90% chance of the bye week because all they need to do for a bye week is get 2 wins. And Malibu's been winning all season. If they don't get 2 wins, there's still a very good chance they end up with a bye week anyway. And even if they don't get any wins, they could still get the bye week. The reason the no wins thing is so improbable is just because them getting no wins, not because they couldn't get the bye week if they
right.
So Malibu has a million different paths to get to the exact same endpoint here. They're almost certainly ending up with a bye week. So rest up your players and enjoy. But I guess you gotta still look over your shoulder a little bit here.
Yeah. I think I feel like this is one that we can all definitely see coming, but it's interesting that there is still a lot of little probability in there.
As for the next teams, I guess just go over the rest of the division. Whichever order you want to put them up, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I've just got them by team names, and I don't know this.
You don't know the divisions yet. Yeah. Come on, Jam.
You know what? No, I got it. Let's go to the Coopers.
Yeah. My season was over a few weeks ago when I sold everything off because people kept beating.
This is an image of sad drinking. This is an image of sad drinking. I don't see sad drinking with wine. Sad drinking should be like whiskey or something like that.
My team is based around wine. All the images are going to be based around people's teams, so I had to have sad wine.
All right. Well, I guess keeping with the drinking theme, let's move on to your rival, San Diego.
So
you know what, Phil? Actually, before we go, I actually had to purposely, because I had to rename all the slides so that I knew which ones to queue up.
yeah.
But I did them so quickly, so I couldn't see any of the content. So I am actually seeing this for the first time. Which is really fun.
Unfortunately, it looks like the beer saw San Diego's team for the first time. So, San Diego also been out of it for a while now.
It is what it is. And I feel like I think I know which picture you picked for this next game. So let's go to the Oakland Rejects. Vic Vinegar / Derek Carr.
Yeah, Oakland was eliminated basically before the season started, if you listen to projections. So,
hey, they expected it. It's not. It doesn't come as a surprise. So, there we go. So, in this division, it's really about what Malibu is doing in terms of, do they get the bye week? Most likely, they do.
Yeah, they're in the playoffs. There's not much. This league in general had almost everyone locked into their positions, so not a lot of surprises, I guess.
So, you think next year we go up to South? So do you think we go to Southwest next?
Stay in the Oh yeah, so yeah, Southwest.
Yeah. So let us start, I guess, with let me pull them up. Sorry, this is in a horrible order.
Doesn't matter. Just any team in the division.
All right, let me pull.
Suspense is part of it.
do. Why can't I find them when I need them? Jesus, I renamed them for this reason. Bam, there we go.
All right, Las Vegas just coming off a tough loss, but overall not too much to worry about. Even though they're now behind in the standings, they still have slightly higher odds to win the division, presumably just off the projections of players. It's I think maybe one of their games is a little easier than West Waco's as well. Yeah, because they play San Antonio while West Waco is playing Houston. So Las Vegas has a slightly better chance of winning. But it's still like 50-50. Again, though, because of the way the division's set up, he's basically got the wild card if he doesn't lose. The same is true with West Waco. West Waco, if they don't win, they get the wild card, and we'll get to that. But here, there's a 0.2% chance that Denver doesn't make the playoffs at this point.
0.2%.
0.2% chance Denver doesn't make the playoffs. You'll see that scenario there. If they lose both their games and don't make it into the top half of scoring, but Houston wins both their games and does make it into the top half of scoring, that precise scenario is the only way Las Vegas doesn't make the playoffs.
This reminds me of when you're watching ESPN right near the end of a season and they're talking about all these ridiculous scenarios for certain teams to get into the playoffs.
Yep. That's Houston's.
I am loving this analysis here.
So Las Vegas also, not a high chance of getting a bye week, only a little better than them missing the playoffs, but there's a 2.2% chance. Need to get 2 wins to do that and get 2 Malibu losses. That's the hard part. Ooh. 2 wins, not so bad, but
yeah, Vegas has been winning, but Malibu has been good all year, so it's hard. It's a fucking Kyler Murray's been really pulling off some huge games for that team. I wish I had Kyler Murray. All right, so then,
your way in, your various ways in, looking promising, but it's almost certainly a first round game against your rival here. So it doesn't really matter who gets the division other than the division prize.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to West Waco, shall we?
Yep, this is the other side of the coin. So almost a 50% chance to clinch the division. Big difference here is because West Waco has an extra victory point currently.
Yeah,
their odds of getting the bye week are 2.2. They're 8.3%. So still low, but a little more reasonable there. That's a roll of paradise, not like a roulette spin. Wild card. There's no risk here that Waco doesn't make the playoffs. Houston can't catch them. So no matter what they're in as the division winner or the wild card, they're into the first round. Again, they're just playing for money here, essentially.
So a good position to be in for these two teams because of what's going on in the Pacific Division.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, speaking of Houston, let us go into the Longhorns.
Yeah. I mean, there's a chance. We've talked about the chance, but you know, what
I
are
knew
the
this
odds?
meme was coming at some point. I knew it. So explain this again. They have to win with 2 wins in the top half scoring, in Las Vegas two losses in the bottom half of scoring. I guess that's the victory point side of it.
Yeah, it's a very precise scenario. Like, there's no room for error here. Houston gave it a good run, and I maybe I'll eat my words, but I think we'll be calling it here.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of calling it, let's go to San Antonio. What is this? This is hilarious. I love that. And sorry, San Antonio. You bet big. You bet big on 2 players. Both of them motherfuckers got injured for most of the year.
I bet you didn't think that I would find a cat in a cowboy hat crying or screaming or something. But I had one in mind. I didn't even need to search.
This is incredible. How could you possibly have found a cat crying with a cowboy hat?
This was already a meme, and when I'm subscribed to like at least 5 different cat-related subreddits, I've seen this over and over. So this came to mind immediately.
All right, shall we flip over to the Eastern Conference?
The meme, by the way, if you've never seen it, it's just the lyrics to Country Road, Take Me Home, or Take Me Home, Country Road.
I like it.
And it just says West Virginia beside the cat screaming.
Wouldn't it be awesome if there was a West Virginia team that we could tie this to? All right, shall we jump to the Rail Riders in the Eastern Conference?
I guess this is not going to be all that exciting, though.
All right, well, let's start with the most important team here.
Yeah, I mean, what do you want me to say here, Jam?
I'd like us to talk a lot about this.
This has been evident for a while.
I'd like us to get into this in deep conversation.
Yeah, you haven't lost the game yet.
I do like this pie chart.
Yeah, your pie chart is pretty clear. Yeah, I don't think there's too much to get into. You've easily clinched, and you basically did a while ago.
That is a really ugly pigeon. Like, I mean, all pigeons are generally ugly, but this is a specifically ugly pigeon. So kudos on that. I was never able to find the ugly pigeon for the photoshops that I did. All right, let's move on from my team. Let's jump into one that I think is a bit more exciting.
None of this division is
not
exciting.
Not really. I've clinched a wild card.
Yeah, if he's going to keep showing the video, I'm going to keep, I feel showing him being proud of that video.
This is good. I think what he said in the show at the end of this, he's like, any questions? All right, so then moving on to the other side of it. Oh, Jersey. Woke up this morning, got yourself a gun, shot yourself out of playoff contention. You know what? I felt like Jersey got a raw deal at the beginning of the year, but then I can't really explain what happened to the rest of the year.
Yeah, no, they started out getting kind of screwed, and then everything just went off the rails. There's bad moves, and I don't know what was happening.
All right, so Denver seems to think he's going to see me in the Super Bowl. Okay. All right.
As the text was the same color underneath, I thought all the people were just adding in Jersey has eliminated from playoff contention.
That would be funny. All right, so next up, let's just close this out with a potato. Where are you, potatoes? There we go. Aw, sad potato.
Sad potato.
His friends all cut up.
Washington
has been eliminated.
Washington hasn't been for a while.
Well, I'm glad you didn't have to do crazy analysis on every single team. Some of these made it easy on you.
Well, just because they can't make the playoffs doesn't mean I didn't have to do analysis to figure it out. Ooh, Washington was something like Enniscorthy. That was trickier.
Right. Okay, let's move on to the Jet Setters. I think this is probably one of the more exciting conferences in terms of chances. Let's start with a team we talked about a little bit, Where is Hollywood? Bam.
Hollywood.
Hollywood.
Yeah, so Hollywood, again, similar to Las Vegas and West Waco in the Southwest, you have the team that's in first place actually having lower odds of winning the division.
Yeah. So is that just like I guess like you said, it's just what the projections are liking.
It's a combination of projections and schedule. In the Las Vegas and West Waco case, I think it was more schedule because of the San Antonio game coming up for one of them versus Houston for the other. Hollywood actually played Enniscorthy already, and they have Chicago still to go. They have the easier schedule than South Park. I think the big difference, though, is Hollywood is viewed as sort of quarterbackless. And the projections, well, I'm sure they've been updated to give Taysom Hill something. It's going to be dicey. Whereas South Park at the trade deadline went out and got a bunch of players. So their team is improved over their record. So I think the projections here genuinely like South Park a lot better than Hollywood. But Hollywood is still technically leading the division right now. So, but it's only a 1 point difference. So
yeah, there's only a single victory point between them. They're and they have the same record. So I can see this one as being closer than.
The main point here is just beat South Park and you're in. That's all you got to do. But
when do they play? Week 13?
Sorry?
Week 13?
Yeah, in the final week. So Hollywood can't lose this week. It's just sort of a bonus, another way of winning, maybe, if he doesn't beat South Park. But he can't lose this week. Now, that 33% is not looking good. That's saying that in the simulations, 2 out of the 3 games, South Park. I guess we'll see what happens, but it's certainly going to be an exciting finish there because I don't think there's a way of, like, no matter what, this division will come down to that game in some capacity. It may not necessarily be the winner of that game is in, but that game will be important in some way to determining the division.
Well, on that point, speaking of the actual devil, let's move right to Chris Back. And South Park currently sitting in second, just like we said. But like you said, better chances to clinch that division.
Better chances. I mean, you'll notice in the header, it just says immediately clinches with a win over Hollywood in week 13 and then one of those other things.
Oh,
it's not just as much as win and he's in for South Park as is the case with Hollywood. It's win and do one of these other things and you're in.
Oh, interesting. So South Park does have to do more.
They have to do more because they're further down in the standings. But the simulation likes the team enough to think, yeah, this is probably going to happen. One of these things will happen. They're beating Enniscorthy, good chance of that happening. Hollywood lost to Chicago. Not likely, but maybe it happens.
Yeah, I don't see that one.
No, maybe it happens. Weird things happen is all I'm saying. And then, a lost Enniscorthy, but a Hollywood win against Chicago. So those two things, the first two didn't come true. But then one additional more supplemental victory point than Hollywood, and they're in. So there's various ways of getting in. It can't just be winning on their own in week 13. One of these things has to happen.
And they're kind of in a situation where the team that doesn't make the playoffs, basically, right? Because in the Rail Riders divisions, it's me and Scranton.
Yeah, Scranton's already much well.
Yeah. So this is going to come down to the wire.
It's division or bust for these guys.
Speaking of bust, let's move on to the Electric Eels, a team that had hope, was leading the division for a while, and then kind of fell on some hard times.
I was hoping to find a better image, but there really wasn't one. So I just used the stock image that I just clearly stole based on the background there.
I'm impressed you found an image of a cartoon eel.
Yeah, Google's got all sorts of crazy shit on it.
Well, that's Corthy, eliminated from the playoffs. Nice try. Look forward to you guys next year. Moving on to a team that proudly announced they've been eliminated, so this should come as no surprise. Oh, Mr. Eamon. You had to choose the blind dude.
I had to find one of him looking, well, he at least looks sad or angry or something. I don't know. But it sort of fits the theme here.
Well, yeah, there we go. So that is our should we go to the conference previews, I guess?
There's conference previews.
Conference.
Sort of
So-
show some shit.
Let us show then the Eastern Conference.
I don't get to use a lot of pie charts anymore in my adult life. There's very few situations where you're going to want to use a pie chart, but when you're dealing entirely with percentages, I respect the pie.
I respect it for those reasons. I agree.
Now, here, these are the most boring pie charts you'll ever encounter because 3 of them are just this team has won. So the pie chart becomes useless, as does any chart, really, when the answer is one team has 100%. So this is more from the other conferences, the other leagues, but, here's the Eastern Con. Thank you, Jet Setters, for having a pie chart that is not just one color.
Hey, thank you, Philly, for making it easy for you.
Hang on, wild card up. It just says South Philly. It's just tricking you. The South Philly has no wild card in there.
Oh yeah, I was like, hey, wait a minute. God damn it! All right, let's go to Western Conference. Maybe this has some differences.
Well, there's a few. So it looks on the surface not great, but the bye week we have some pie split out. It's clearly Malibu huge advantage there. But you can see the probability there, West Waco and that tiny slice of Vegas. Pacific, Malibu's got it. Wild card, it's close to a 50-50 split. I want to put a sliver of yellow there, but it will not appear on your screen because it would need to be 1,000 pixels wide in order to display that sliver of yellow.
I think I know where it is because the white is a little bit thicker on the top end of the pie chart. Just a little tiny bit.
That is Houston's probability of winning the wild.
The slightly wider band of white is Houston's shots. Hey, look, Denver, you got a shot, man. You got a shot at that bye week. Really good shot at the wild card. So this is very interesting.
And then the Rice division, it's not the Rice division. That's the other thing I copied over from.
So this would be
Southwest Division. Southwest Division.
Yes.
Southwest Division. It's basically just the inverse of the wild card. So
there you go. All right. That was like explain what type of work you had to put in to get all these out, which is tremendously interesting and useful information. But good Lord.
It's not worth the work I did. And I was talking to Jim about this earlier today. There are times that you start something thinking that would be a neat idea, but then you get too far into it to realize the effort that you put into it is worth the outcome at this point. To find out all of the crazy different intricate scenarios, that alone took about 7 to 10 hours. And then on top of that, recoding the model so that it would look at the individual games in these scenarios took some time. And then making the presentation. Overall, it took like 20 hours, which is crazy. And I should never have done that. But I didn't realize that until I was 7 hours in. I'm like, you know what? I'm committed at this point.
Well, at that point, you have to finish.
I had to finish it.
I think it's kind of like, remember in last year's podcast, you started doing team previews, but they were like really super detailed team previews.
Yeah, that took a lot of
you got like 6 in. It's like, holy shit, this is a lot of work.
I think that one though has more benefit than this does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I like this. This was super interesting. I think in FOMFA there's more.
There's a bit more interesting things.
Yeah,
the scenarios are easier to wrap your head around because there's no victory point. So even though FOMFA had more shit, it was easier to figure out because of the victory points in this, which made it a nightmare.
These are rules you set up.
I wasn't thinking of trying to project things out when I set up the rules. I was thinking, what sucks every time you lose and you get nothing out of it. So it's like, let's give people a point for their trouble. Yeah. If they've had a good game, give them a point.
I love the victory point idea. That's a great idea because my old team in FOMFA would have benefited quite a bit from victory points.
Here's the thing, though. There's a certain point at which the victory points don't even help you. That's where my team hit. Very much top of the league in points, and it was just like, it doesn't matter at this point.
Well, Denver does not seem to be worried. This will be the week. Well, you've been doing well. Oh, I guess you lost. So
he did lose last week.
That's true. Alrighty. So should we talk week 12 projections and then we'll get into FOMFA?
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, buddy. I'm gonna need you to need you to pull them up, and I'm doing this the old-fashioned way with a pen and paper.
I got a whole pack of sparkle pens lately to make Christmas cards with, because I thought it would be festive, and I'm long past the point in my life I'm worried about masculinity or that. They seem fun. So I got some sparkle pens, and they're simultaneously awesome, but also like
Messy?
Well, they're not that messy. It's just most of the colors are useless, and there's like 3 different shades of the exact same color. Only like one useful blue, like
I like this.
What I'm talking about. Oh, because you had some pens.
I like this arts and crafts version of Phil. It's like daycare.
Yeah, but I'm not good at any of these arts and crafts. So I just recently wrapped a present, but
I'm awesome at wrapping presents.
I'm not. If it's not one box, I'm screwed, and the tape just keeps coming up, and this is just like a nightmare. So I have no idea what I'm doing with these sort of things. But
use better tape.
Sorry,
use better tape, man.
Yeah, but I don't want to go get tape. I don't know if this tape like expires or some shit, because this is pretty old. But
that is a super annoying thing to make a trip for. A single, especially during COVID. You get COVID. You get COVID. Go to buy a roll of tape.
About each other at mass on and saying, "Stay away from me. Why are you here? I needed some tape. I need to go to an essential service in order to buy some tape.
I'm doing crafts. Show me to your dollar store section of this grocery store." I don't know if the United States has that, but a lot of our grocery stores have a dollar store section.
What? I have never been to a single grocery store in my life with a dollar section.
No Frills has a dollar store section.
I have a No Frills around the corner. No dollar section.
Really?
I've never seen this in Etobicoke. I've never seen this downtown.
Maybe this is a suburbs thing.
It might be a Markham thing, because again, Etobicoke did not have any dollar section.
Maybe it's literally the one store I go to, and I think that all stores have it.
This feels like a David King take. A lot of stores in Canada have this. Are you sure it's not one store, the one you're going to?
You know, it might be the case, because the No Frills that in my area has like one of the best butcher shops. It's like a separate butcher shop, and I'm like, No Frills is
they don't normally have it.
Yeah. For the Americans here, No Frills is like the shitty grocery store. The cheap, shitty grocery store, but this one has like a expert level butcher shop, so yeah, something fishy's going on with that one maybe.
They also have an album on Spotify.
Which is so fucking weird. What do they play?
Sorry?
What do they play? Is it just like Shania Twain on loop?
No. It's all hip-hop songs written about groceries and No Frills.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not lying, and they're
I like this.
Not terrible.
I gotta check this out, dude.
It's pretty ridiculous.
Alrighty, let's jump into projections.
All right, first up, what do we got? I'm gonna say my team because I'm not logging out. So my team will have it against San Diego.
And what's the spread?
Let's take a look here. Math is not going well for me right now. Looks like 24.3 in favor of my team.
24 point. I'm just going to call that 24. Okay. I feel like your team has been showing up when you don't want them to. So I guess I'm as I've already started talking, I will make the first call. I'll say that you cover that.
Well, I mean, Michael Thomas is back now because now he comes back.
33 mil? Was it 33 mil?
Something like that. I don't know.
It's a decent spread.
It is. But on the other side, I'm liking Godwin and Robinson, but I don't like a whole lot else that I'm seeing over there. But you know what? I am going to actually look at the matchups, because when I go to the previews, it doesn't tell me shit about that. I need to know playing who. And Sean Payton's playing Denver, so I'm going to take San Diego to cover the spread.
Ooh, interesting call. Sean Payton getting points. All right. That might be the right call. Wish I looked at something. I'm literally not looking at anything.
Next we got here is Oakland against Malibu. Malibu is favored by 28. I'm just around.
Oakland showed the fuck up. When Jason won both team of the weeks in both leagues.
He won back-to-back team of the weeks in this league. In the span of 3 weeks, he got 2 weeks. He got 3 team of the weeks in the 2 leagues.
What the hell's going on in Oakland?
Well, back to losing based on last week, but yeah. So what was the spread here? Malibu 28, I think I said. Yeah,
28. Yeah.
You're starting Phillip Rivers, but what? Oh, that's San Diego. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong game.
Mm-hmm.
What am I supposed to be? Oakland, Malibu? I was like, okay, yeah. Malibu's got a better quarterback than Phillip Rivers. That was confusing me.
So, Oakland's starting Derek Carr.
I can't make fun of him anymore though. He's
been very good, very fun to watch.
I don't find he's been that fun to watch, but he's been effective. There's certain. Even when I liked Wentz, I wouldn't say most seasons he was fun to watch. But he's no longer even good. But
I feel like it's fun to watch because he's been so ineffective. So becoming effective.
What I'm going to be curious about seeing going into next year is that I don't know how much faith I'll put in Pro Football Focus's gradings. They're better in one sense because football stats are terrible at capturing every element of things. But on the other hand, you're still relying on people to make judgment calls of how good a play looks. But they do not have Carr ranked particularly well this season. He's still in the bottom half of the league. But that conflicts so much with the actual numbers he's put up.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what ends up actually happening next year. If this has just been a lot of good luck or if something has actually changed.
Yeah, for me, my take on it would be, I think it just the second year in Gruden's system, it seems like he's bought in and he's actually changed the way he plays. I love the audible calls. They're all basketball players, so that's always fun. James Harden. Chris Mullins. I was like, Chris Mullins. That's a deep cut. Anyways.
Oliver Miller. Who?
Oliver Miller. Raptor fans know Oliver Miller. All right, so you're making the first call. You said
it's tough because I like Carr against Atlanta. How do you not people against the Atlanta defense?
Yeah.
Kyler Murray though is going up against the Patriots who have basically no linebackers. So for a quarterback, he might feast.
Their linebackers are COVID basically.
I mean,
Chris Carson's back.
He should be back. He's going up against Philly. That should be a good matchup. I mean. I like the matchups in McLaurin. DJ Moore's got a good one. Whereas, I look on Oakland side and his receivers are just getting shut the hell down. Every one of them. Miles Sanders could be good against Seattle, but Doug Peterson sees him run effectively and then decides, no, I don't want any of that.
Wait a minute, this is working.
28, huh? I think it's a good line, but I think I'm gonna go with Malibu here.
Okay.
Now, I really interesting, and I didn't really consider actually, but here's some free tips. The Pittsburgh-Baltimore game got moved from Thursday to Sunday.
Yeah.
But there's always a chance when something gets moved like that, it's we had to just move this or cancel it or whatever. So I'm not sure how that is going to impact this game or others, but I noticed that Mike Tomlin is the Malibu coach.
Yeah, and you might end up losing, you might end up losing some players. You might end up having the game even moved. They still have not gone to any games moving to the week 17 yet in the season, but that's always still out there. I think I'm gonna. No, I think. You know what? I'm going to go with Oakland. Not with a whole lot of faith, but I'm going to go with Oakland. Just based on they put on some killer performances and let's go with Oakland.
Our Jacobs should have pretty good performances.
Yeah.
Maybe probably even Gruden, frankly, but I'm still going Malibu though. So all right. What's next? San Antonio, Houston. Must win for Houston. Must get 3 points for Houston.
Ooh.
And Houston is favored by 23.
But projected to score low comparative to other teams.
Yes.
They got to be in the top 8, right?
They got to be in the top 8 to have any chance, and they need Las Vegas to be in the bottom 8 to have any chance going forward.
Yeah. This will be exciting week by week if Houston starts to chip away at these at these small scenarios.
I mean, if he makes it through this week, there's only one more week to go, so it'll be interesting going into it.
And you're rooting for Houston, aren't you?
Sorry,
you're rooting for Houston, right?
No, I don't want them to make the playoffs because then my pick of Houston's that we saw becomes much less valuable.
Right, it's flipped. Right.
So, I kind of am, though, because the odds are so low that I still want to see it happen, even though it hurts my team.
Yeah.
Really, I would like, but if they're not going to make the playoffs, please score as few points as possible. That would be my goal. And I think what is going to help is they can't start Joe Burrow anymore.
Yeah. He's got Joe Burrow in the starting lineup. I guess it's Flacco.
Yeah, it's
maybe Darnold
situation going forward.
Yeah, that really blows. I hope that I hope he's able to recover. He was having such a good year.
That was a bad knee injury too.
Yeah.
Thankfully for a quarterback, the knee isn't nearly as important as for any other position. It just means maybe he doesn't run quite as much, but he can still be.
Yeah, I just hope that it's not like that because they said that it was worse than they had originally expected. And when I saw the way his knee went, I thought about my knee injury because it was similar, that it kind of turned to the right. And they were just like, yeah, your ACL's torn. Your MCL and PCL are partially torn. Your other CL isn't good either. Everything has gotten kind of fucked up by this one weird movement. So he's a professional athlete, though, so I expect him to come back hard. Let's see. He's got Le'Veon Bell, Gordon. Devontae Adams been murdering. Oh, against the Bears defense, though. Okay. I'm actually putting thought into this now. Keenan Allen against Buffalo. I don't know. I don't know if I feel all that good about but on the other end, San Antonio's got Tyler Boyd, and they just lost Joe Burrow. So that doesn't help. I'll say Houston.
All right. I mean, I think the main advantage Houston's going to have here is that Matt LaFleur and Green Bay against Chicago. I'm not anticipating Mike Vrabel getting points against Indianapolis. Maybe they do. Tennessee's a good team, but I don't know. I feel Indy's going to do well there. Antonio Brown has been peppered with targets, and they haven't fully translated into points yet. But I think that will do enough combined with Stafford over, the Jets mess that I think I'll take San Antonio to cover.
No, that's a good call. Like, not bad. Like, I so far haven't been feeling super comfortable about any of these picks. So.
All right, West Waco versus Las Vegas, game of the week.
Ooh.
Game of the week. And the odds are, unlike my projections, the website's liking West Waco by 13.
All right, it's you first, but I'm going to do a little exploring
here. I trust my own projections or the site's projections more? Oh, Russell Wilson is going to kill the Eagles.
Well, the Eagles' defense has been good.
No,
like
they've allowed big plays, and they have no one who is capable of dealing with DK Metcalf. Slay has played well. They have no one who can stop DK Metcalf.
He's just a monster.
There have been teams who do have quarterbacks, like the Rams held them relatively well in check. The Eagles don't have that person. They also are brutal against slot receivers. It may be one of the few games where both Lockett and Metcalf just both lighten up the scoreboards.
I hope so.
Russell. So Mike Evans, T. Higgins takes a big drop in the rankings. But Kamara against Denver should be pretty good. Although it was interesting that he didn't catch a pass, not a single pass last week. That is so unlike Kamara, and I guess Hill was just like, no, fuck it, I'm not throwing to a running back.
This is the Hill Hill era. It's like if this is gonna be running, it's gonna be done by me.
I think this is going to be a fantastic game looking through this, frankly, because not only the implications, but I'm looking at I'm like, these are all guys who are going to largely feast. There are some guys less so, but like the main ones are going to really do well, I think. On the other side, you just have a lot of they'll all do pretty well.
Baker against
not a great quarterback,
Jacksonville.
but going up against the Jaguars.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty good. Claypool is a touchdown machine. Justin Jefferson is a yardage machine. And Marvin Jones has been doing really well without Galladay, and Galladay once again isn't back.
Mm-hmm.
Kelsey,
wow.
Aaron Donald. Yeah, I'm going with my projections over the site's projections, and I'm going to say West Waco.
You say West Waco?
I'm going to say
Isn't the site favoring West Waco?
No, the site is favoring Las Vegas by... the site is favoring West Waco. Okay, it aligns with my projections then. Either way, 13 points. I'm going to say West Waco can handle that.
All right. Well, Denver, did you burn me last week? I think you might have burned me last week. You know what? This message right here from Denver.
I agree with him. I'm not saying that your team doesn't, Denver. I really enjoyed looking this. I think this is going to be one of those 240 something to 220 or 230 games where it's like, well, that sucks. But good news, if you score that many points, you've already signed your ticket to the playoffs there. We'll see about the division, but that definitely would get you the playoffs.
Well, so, you know what,
Denver?
Denver?
I like your team. It's just, have you seen who you're facing this week? He's tough.
On that point, I am going to go with Denver. I think Denver will cover this. And one of these teams is going to end up getting the team of the week, I feel.
I think there's a good chance of that.
Yeah.
I'd be even more certain if, in FOMFA, we had the Heartbreak Award. And it's one of these guys is getting it. I don't know who, but one of them.
Yeah. All right.
Next, we have Scranton and Jersey. Meaningless game that is just being played out because it needs to get played. Mm-hmm. Really, the only thing that this is all about at this point is draft pick value.
Mm-hmm.
Scranton has Jersey's draft pick. So Scranton wants Jersey to score as few points as possible, not because beating him matters, but simply because it makes his pick more valuable. The good news is Jersey doesn't need to set a perfect lineup. It's just how his team does.
Yeah.
So I think, all the rest of the league is, we really got to be rooting for Jersey here, because it's never good for a league when a team that's in the playoffs and 8-3 has one of the more valuable draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
So go Jersey. Go Giants.
What's the spread?
Sorry?
What's the spread on this one?
On this one. Let's take a look. Everything's 28, it seems. 28. Well, let's just say 28 points for Scranton.
Ooh, 28. That is big.
This is me first, right?
Yes.
No, because I took West Waco first, and then you took Las Vegas.
Okay. I like Amari Cooper against Washington, and Dalton looked decent. Though Dalton's might get destroyed by Washington's edge rushers. Deshaun Watson against last-ranked pass defense.
There's no way Detroit is the last-ranked pass.
I think they are. I think they're down there because I've definitely made starting decisions on.
Oh, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I figure they're probably down there too. But there's Seattle.
Maybe not last, but
Seattle, Dallas, and Atlanta all have to be at the bottom three.
Jeff Okudah is out. Does he put it instead? He's got some good backups. I'm just trying to gather if Jersey's going to have enough to overcome
28 points.
Yeah, Scranton's scoring real high too. Scranton's going to be a problem in the playoffs. There's a lot of teams that are going to be problems in the playoffs. I know I've got the big record, but I don't feel all that good going to the playoffs because my team has not scored to the crazy high levels as it was at the beginning, and a lot of other teams are. So Scranton puts up points. Betting big on the two big players from the Pittsburgh has helped. And Mike Williams,
Baltimore isn't ideal, but
Mike Williams with Herbert has really blossomed, coming into the expectations of his talent. DK Metcalf's gonna have a great game. Fuck. All right, I'm gonna say Scranton.
Yeah, I agree. I will also go with Scranton here.
All right. Okay, what's next?
All right. Next up, we have Washington versus South Philly. South Philly favored by 43 points.
I don't know, man.
You can't help laugh at your competition, can you?
No, I just my games haven't been that huge of blowouts.
Not lately. You've been getting
lately.
wins, but it's only because your opponents have not been really showing up.
Yeah.
And Chicago, again, would have beat you if they just put in that, their best player.
Last ranked Chicago would have beat us. So.
For what it's worth, I was sort of making fun of Chicago for, I forget who it even was. Let me take a look. But, Kenyon Drake. They'll have Kenyon Drake on the bench. I was like, why did you do that? Literally the next week, so last week, I guess, I won in my league, but I had Travis Kelce on my bench, who put up like 28 points. And instead I had Logan Thomas in. Not because I wanted Logan Thomas in. I just started him on Kelsey's bye the week before. And even though it's a new lineup, somehow I just forgot to change out the tight end.
Oh, my God.
So Kelsey just on the bench. So I kind of get it. I think that was my punishment for laughing. But yeah, so 11-0, 40-something points, 43 points. I guess this is me picking first.
That's right. You get to look over my team.
I know what your team is. Mahomes versus Brady. Interesting matchup in fantasy and in life.
Brady's been so up and down.
Yeah. I mean, Mahomes was not himself this last week, but he was still good. It's just all the touchdowns, like, let's run it in, let's run it in.
I'm hoping that Brady continues his streak of never following up a bad game. Like every bad game following up with a massive performance. But we'll see what happens.
I'm sure Washington is dealing with injuries, as we all are. There is no excuse for Bryan Edwards to be in his lineup. I don't even know what his other options are, but every one of them is a better one than Bryan Edwards.
Put in Braxton Berrios.
Going into the year, did absolutely nothing. Like any of these running backs, pretty much. Put in Preston Wilson, dude, against the Jets. Like, is he injured? Oh, yeah, he's injured too. Holy shit.
He's
Maybe
injured,
he doesn't have a better option.
Yeah. Well, he's got Braxton Berrios, which is not a great option, but I think probably better than Bryan Edwards.
Yeah, if Berrios is healthy, I'd be playing him over Bryan Edwards. Wow, that's a tough. Okay. Well, in that case, yeah. You have Florence and Gent. Yeah, okay, I'm taking you.
All right. I also am taking me. This is a big spread, though. Not a huge fan of this big spread.
All right, next up we have Hollywood, Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
The spread 17 points in Hollywood's favor.
Spread is not more.
Hollywood's team is not looking great lately.
It's so weird. They started off as like one of the best teams. I guess took some injury hits too, but my God.
Yeah, I mean, Ayuk and Thielen on IR is painful. Zach Ertz on IR. Jimmy Garoppolo on IR. They have had Garoppolo's not good, but he's a quarterback.
Is Thielen on IR? No way. Really?
Yeah.
What the fuck happened? Did I miss that?
COVID list.
Oh, COVID list.
He might be coming back. But for now, it's making this spread what it is because it's like you're starting Gabriel Davis. And he might do something. He certainly has better odds than Bryan Edwards to do something. Yeah. But it's not what you want to be doing. And you never know what Taysom Hill is going to do. I look at Chicago. Oh, I guess it's your choice first here.
I like Brandon Cooks against Detroit. That's nice. But yeah, these are not great options for Hollywood. Mecole Hardman's been really has he done really much? He's got a couple big games, but usually not a dependable starter. He's got Dalvin Cook.
Beyond Hill and Kelsey, you never know which of them is going to show up any given week. It's usually one. Usually one of Hardman. I've forgotten both the names of the other two, even though they play pretty much constantly. But one of them will have a 100-yard game. It seems every week. You just don't know which one.
DeMarcus Lawrence? No.
The
other guy, Sammy Watkins.
Sammy Watkins is one of them. Yeah. Robinson. I want to say DeMarcus Robinson. I think that's it. One of them will do well.
All right. I think I will take. I'll take Chicago.
Bold. I will take Hollywood.
Yeah, it's bold, but I think
You're a bold guy, Jam.
going with how Chicago performed against me.
We got Enniscorthy South Park.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see what we got here. South Park is favored by 30.
By 30 points. That won't be you then. Pete Carroll against Philly.
Oh, that sort of lights things up. 30 fucking points. That's a lot of points.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson against Pitt.
I believe they'll do it. I'll take South Park.
You take South Park?
I take South Park, but it's a cautious selection of South Park.
All right, I'm gonna take. I'll take the Eels. I don't feel super confident about it.
No, this is a tough line.
Yeah. All right. On that, I don't think there was too many that were like I was super confident about. Let's go to.
Well, we got to make our lock.
Lock, yeah. So,
and, would you like the first lock here or in FOMFA?
I'll take it in FOMFA.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and make Hollywood my lock of the week.
All right. Hollywood over Chicago. Will's the lock of the week.
It's not even normally one of the locks is one we agreed on. Not in this case. Your Chicago choice confuses me, and I think you're putting too much stock into them almost beating you. That wasn't them playing well. That was you playing terribly.
Wanted to lock with Denver saying lock Waco. Why?
I mean, like, given the battle between you two, the fact that I chose your team, even though you're 13-point favorite or something, that's all I've got for you. I can't.
All right, then I will go.
Thing that I just understood. You're just making fun of me. All right, you son of a bitch.
I'm gonna take for my shoe-in Scranton over Jersey.
Yeah, that was the other one I was considering.
Yeah, I feel like my spread's just too big. This one is Scranton's been playing pretty well, and Jersey's not. So,
yeah, we're really looking at Kingsbury as Arizona over the Patriots. Yeah. That's a lot of points.
Yeah, that's not going to be pretty. All right, I think that takes us into our rebranding. What do you think, Phil?
Yeah, I'm always super excited about this because the graphics that we've got on this podcast are just amazing.
Here we go. 3, 2. Hold your hats, guys. 3, 2, 1. Bam. You're a FOMFA. We've gone to the original league. All right, let's jump in. Interesting games. There's a couple from last week that had some implications. There's always something exciting going on in I always forget the division name, but the one that Cotton turned down for Watt and Ron Mexico are in.
That's the white division. That's why you weren't allowed into it.
I see. How did Cyril get in? Is Cyril white? The grandfather then or something? Khalil.
Khalil got an exemption.
All right, let's see. Week 11. Cotton and Ron Mexico looked like it was going to be exciting, but then Ron Mexico kind of ran away with it, which I think has bigger implications as to what we're going to get into. You versus Cloud to Ground. This is a big game.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's a big, important game.
Projections, it doesn't look like it was, but it really was because it would have changed these dramatically.
Oh yeah.
Most teams don't have their, like, this is your key matchup until like week 12, week 13. But I do that intentionally to add drama. Like at the beginning of the year when I set the schedule, it'll be like a while before the preseason starts, and it will be like, okay, let's put whatever are the best teams in each division in week 13 so that they will match up.
Yeah, and
I think I normally did that, but I might have just like moved things this year, so I'm not actually entirely sure what happened. But week 11, this was early, but it was a key matchup, and I was extremely worried because throughout most of the day, I was tracking the way the projected points should have gone versus what they were. And at one point, I was projected to be down 50 points on on Jason by the end of the day. But then Sunday night happened, and it was like Mahomes got 24. That's not a bad game by any means. I mean,
breaking.
I love for my quarterback to get 24, but it's not the fear that I had he would get. If Mahomes gets 24 points against you, you should just be thankful and move on. And then Josh Jacobs, same sort of thing. It's like 13. It's a respectable game. It's not anything I'm actually scared about. And I had some of my defensive players show up too, so it sort of started changing around, and then it was looking good. So yeah, I'm happy to be in this position. I can't pretend that Jason didn't worry me all season, but I can finally start to relax a bit.
Yeah, I mean, Jason put up 198 points, so this was definitely a big game. I think that locks up heartbreak. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah,
because that's a damn respectable score. But I'll just like to point out MVP of your team. I think I'll have to call it Rodrigo Blankenship.
Oh, that was actually
the goggle.
The last few weeks I've been making garbage lineup decisions. They cost me the win against Cyril last week. And if you look at my efficiency, it's even this week. It's not great. It's been bad over the season. I didn't start Justin Jefferson, even though he's like among the league leaders in yards at this point. And I'm like, I still don't trust him. But the one decision I did make right is I picked up Ryan Suckup because he has a pretty easy playoff schedule for a kicker. So I was like, that'll help me. But this week I was like, I don't know which kicker to start. And I think most of the rankings said Suckup, but my gut said Blankenship. So I gutted this one. And he picked up 18 points, which was huge for me. He started out real slow because he missed his first field goal. I'm like, oh, that's happening. But then by the end, he would just kick 4 of them through. So that was big. And
he had a missed field goal? He had a missed one. He had a missed field goal and still scored 18 points? Because that's negative points, right? When you miss
a missed field goal, it's only one negative. And he had 4 from 30 plus. So
yeah. He was like the special teams player of the week in the UC, I think.
The only other person now who might give Rodrigo a run for his money, Alex Singleton.
Oh yeah, so big ass game.
I picked him up a little while ago. Once I saw he was getting more snaps with the Eagles, like he was up to like a 80% snap count or something. I was like, okay, fun story coming out of the CFL. I'm like, let's get a Canadian. He's not actually Canadian, but I'm going to treat him as Canadian for this argument. Let's get a Canadian player on the Toronto Sixers. Comes through, starts actually doing well for the Eagles. And since I watch those games, I can pay attention. That's how I sort of was looking out for him. And he's been killing it the last 2 weeks. 16 combined tackles in week 10, then another 12 combined tackles plus a sack and a fumble recovery against the Browns. I don't know where this dude is coming from other than CFL apparently, but I'm happy he showed up. He has helped me weather the loss of Devin Bush.
Yeah, I was this close to picking him up, I think, before you were considering him because I had Nate Gary. And when Nate Gary went down, I'm like, who replaces Nate Gary? Just as a gut, just as a reactionary move, pick up the guy that replaces him. He'll get thing. And it was between Singleton and another dude. And I picked the other dude. Like from what I was reading, it'd be one of these two guys is going to get
the Eagles dude or
another Eagles dude.
Was it TJ Edwards?
Yeah, I think so.
So TJ Edwards has actually played pretty well for the Eagles, but it's not turning into stats as much as Singleton is. So
yeah. So like when I started seeing him going off, I was like, crap, I was that close. Although I mean, this is in this league, and I guess. Any other games that I don't think there was any others that were super close. One thing I'll just say is not regarding the games itself, but Cobras just needed a branding change, and when Israel changed the team name to the Cobras, they've been kicking ass this year.
A location, brand, and logo change. I mean, before Israel's team was basically the M train, as far as I can tell from the logo. So, he's got a legit logo now. Team's prouder to play for it. The other key games, though, none of them are really that close, other than Team Marines Turret Rocks, which was 5 points apart. The rest of the games, though, they're pretty well in hand. A lot of important ones, though. I mean, Sandwich getting the loss to Jayville is what eliminated them from contention finally. Heck of a run, but
for a rebuilding team.
And then obviously, like everything that's going on in the white division. So Khalil versus Cyril. Cyril was right there too, and this loss is. But the big one, other than me and Jason, is definitely the one against Ryan and David. David's win there makes a huge difference in terms of the odds for both those teams.
Yeah, and he did it starting Alex Ingold.
Starting who?
Alex Ingold.
Oh, right, the Rams fullback.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, he didn't really have much
some good performances out of his special teams, and linebackers did pretty well. Got an interception out of Justin Simmons, if I remember right. So everyone just sort of did their thing for the most part. Even Alex Ingold did his thing as far as you expect Alec Ingold to do.
Yeah.
1.77
points.
That's all I expect him to do. Whereas Ryan can put this loss solely on Matthew Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
He has a lot of underperformers. I mean, you want Juju to do better than 5 points, Julio to do better than 5 points. You know what? I take back my solely on Matthew Stafford. This is a collective.
Yeah. Well, Julio got hurt because this burnt me in the other league too, and then he came back in because he's just a warrior. But I'm like, sit the fuck down. Like, I need you to be healthy for the rest of the year. But this hamstring is just not going away. Like,
yeah,
he needs a good healthy off season.
Ryan's defense did real well. But when you combine for less than 20 points out of Juju, Julio Jones, Todd Gurley, and your quarterback, that's going to be tough to make up. So Ryan just had like a hard luck week, and unfortunately, it was an important week for him.
Well, talking about Ingold, Jason just wants to point out that he's the best fullback in the league. The Raiders fullback.
I live in still a fullback. CJ Ham. I know most people will say the 49ers guy.
Yeah,
use check. But I think that people don't watch enough Vikings games. Since I'm a Cook owner, I watch that a lot. The amount of times I have seen CJ Ham just like Cook just waits behind him, just knock some dude over or get him completely away and let Cook go. It's entirely effective, and I think more teams need to get that fullback back.
I do find it surprising the teams that are going, like, if a team is going pretty hard on run, then you should be investing in a good fullback. Like, it makes a huge difference. Like, if you're going to be having.
You can essentially, like, tight ends can be converted to fullbacks back and forth with reason. And if you're going to use the fullback more as like a pass blocker, not a runner, it makes sense to me to line up more tight ends in a fullback position.
Yeah.
So two options. You could either block with them really effectively, or alternatively, if you're not blocking for the main running back and it's a passing play and you're not blocking for the passing play, you're a good dump off option similar to how running backs are used. Because if a tight end can catch, I think that'd be extremely valuable. And I don't know why anyone outside of like the way the 49ers are using their kind of use check.
Yeah.
I don't know why no one's doing it.
Yeah. Use check ends up having some big games here and there because of that exact reason. He gets like the check down and makes it work.
He's not hugely fantasy relevant, but in the game, I guarantee like the 49ers are all happy to have him around.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So I think on that, should we just jump right into the playoff picture for FOMFA?
Yes, but I feel I need more water. I am parched.
Okay.
So, you can jump into it. I mean, it's just text on a screen. You got this.
All right. I am going to jump into it then. We will start with the Manning division. And since Phil isn't here, I'll start with the lower end teams of the Manning division. And let us put up. You know what? We'll put up Death Valley first. Where's Death Valley? Is this Death Valley? What the hell? No, that's Fort Myers. Death.
I had to pick a more generic hawk than a red hawk specifically.
How did you find such a sad hawk? That's great. Well, Death Valley, I know it's a shock, but you've been eliminated from contention.
Yeah,
anything to say here, Phil?
He hasn't got a win yet. There's not much I can add.
Oh my God, he's 0-11.
There are two FOMFA teams that are 0-11, and they're both very likely to go winless over the season.
I got my win. Feeling good.
I thought you got two of them. You got two of them.
Oh, I got two of them. I'm gonna ruin it for one more person at least. I feel.
There you go. That's the spirit.
Alrighty, so let's go on from Death Valley to Lucas Shies. Why
didn't
go
know. What else am I supposed to do when his team name is named after what? It's named after his kid named Lucas or something, right? How am I supposed to turn that into an image, Jam, other than sad George Lucas?
I guess that makes sense. Lucas Shies eliminated from playoff contention. Hell of a run, Luis. Hell of a run. Was this the first year in league history he didn't make the playoffs?
I know his team he definitely started with a rebuild, so It was just a quick one. It was like a 1 year sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So I don't think so.
It'd be interesting to see what Luis does moving forward. All right, let's get into the interesting stories then. Next up, we got Cloud to Ground, the team that decided to really go for it this year and looking pretty good.
The Pac-Man of the league, if you would.
Yeah. That is a pure Pac-Man. That's hilarious. All right, let me take this banner off so we can see these pie charts a bit better. Debranding.
Yeah. So this last week was pretty killer for Cloud to Ground. They can still win the division. You can't see it on the pie chart because it requires them winning both their games, which probably should happen. But also me losing both my games against Lucas Shies and Death Valley.
Yeah.
You have
and Death Valley.
Odds of losing both of them are not high. So it's a rough road ahead for Cloud to Ground if they want the division. If they get the division and Ron Mexico loses, they get the bye week still. They can technically do that, but the best path forward by far is a wild card here.
Yeah.
They win their next 2 games, which they're expected to do. And frankly, I think my projections underrate their probability of doing, which actually would underrate their probability of winning the division too. But
what are the next 2 games?
It's the same 2 I have because we just played each other. It's going to be Death Valley and Lucas Shies. So 52.4 to win both of them. I think there's a higher odds of that. So
yeah, there's got to be.
Yeah, I think Cloud to Ground's playoffs odds are actually pretty good. Even if he doesn't get 2 wins, he can get into the playoffs with 1 win as long as this is where that division becomes a nightmare and I have to list out specific games. But there's a number of possible scenarios with 1 win that he can still get in there. Some of which are actually fairly likely. So those are actually the scenarios that don't let him in. Everything else would let him in, which is why it's a 32.7% chance with 1 win. And finally, even if he doesn't win a single game, if he somehow loses to Lucas Shies and Death Valley, Jason still might make the playoffs in the situation where Ryan beats Khalil, David beats Khalil, and Cyril beats Ryan. If that happens, David wins the division, but Jason would win the wild card with the 7-6 record.
That's not super unlikely either because Fort Myers has put up some big performances. The one that you would think here that would be tough to have would be Fort Myers beating Cotton, but Fort Myers has some oddly good.
It could easily happen.
Yeah. Who does Colin Murray play in Week 13? That's what it really comes down to.
So yeah, I know that division has largely people in the division like Ryan have been saying, yeah, we know we're not getting the wild card. Our path to the playoff is the division title.
Still out there.
Yeah, there's still a piece of it, but they're for the most part right. Division's gonna be way easier for all of them, but they can maybe get the wild card. But the key thing is they basically they need a Cloud to Ground loss.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to the top of the division after this week's big win. The Toronto Sixers. There you go, Phil. You get the gloat a little bit.
Yeah, but not like you did. You had already clinched your division in the other league because you're 11-0. So.
Yeah, my pie chart didn't have a slight bit of extra white in there. There's a very tiny bit of
white. It's yellow. White. Let's be clear about that. It's yellow. Oh no, it's not.
Sorry, 2% it's yellow.
I have at least clinched the playoffs, but there is a small chance, that I don't win the division, and instead I end up getting the wild card.
Wow. So what has to happen here for that not to happen? So you clinched the division with a win and a Cloud to Ground loss. wins wild card in any scenario where the division is not won. But what scenarios
so
are
basically, if I don't get any wins, so I lose both games, and Cloud Ground doesn't lose any games and wins both games. So the thing that gives Cloud Ground the division that we had discussed earlier, like 2 losses from me, 2 wins from him, in that scenario,
I see. Wild card. Okay. So I would say you're probably in very good shape.
Pretty good shape, but still haven't clinched quite yet.
Yeah, and for the bye week too, then, right?
Yeah. Wow. It's very unlikely I get the division and not the bye week.
All right, I think just because global white division is the most interesting, I'm going to go on to one of the other ones first. Let's go Woodson. Pick up. It's very annoying to look for. Nope, we already did that one. FF Village has been eliminated from the playoffs. What is this?
You didn't put the new slide in.
What's that?
You didn't put the new slide in.
Jesus. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna find it. Let's go to Sandwich instead first. Bam. I like this one. How do you find a sad sandwich?
Google is all you have to do is Google sad. I had options, Jam. It wasn't just one thing.
This is one of many sad sandwiches.
Most of them cartoons. I went with the real life looking sad piece of bread, but tough run because I know Sandwich was a huge rebuilding team this year, and then they just started winning. Yeah, and it was sort of fun to root for them for a while, but we've come to the end of the road here.
Yeah, you had it. You had an impressive showing. But anyways, now let's move on to Village. Oh my god! Jesus.
I nasty. The team nickname that they got early on.
The old Village hooker, and she looks very sad. Well, there you go. Let's go on to one of the more interesting ones. The Clown Punchers.
Yeah, I mean that pie chart is looking full and healthy, like
real healthy.
It's still weird to me to look at a schedule. No offense, Paul, but after last season, this is just what's ingrained in me now. I look at a schedule, I see Jayville, and I just initially think free win.
Yeah,
and that's
what it was last year.
This is a team that is 8-3. This is not a free win. This is one of the better teams in the league.
Yeah,
and you look at the roster, and there are definitely some things to be concerned about. Judson and Herbert just out of the gate has turned this team around, combined with DK Metcalf this season. So huge jumps in production from a couple of players are really helping them. And as a result, they've ridden this straight to the playoffs here because, there's still some possibilities that they're not in, I think. There's like a 5% chance they're not in the playoffs, but it's low. I think it's going to be difficult for them to clinch a division. It's similar to the situation Jason's in, where it needs 2 wins and 2 losses from the division leader in Wario. But wild card, it's hard not to get it. All you need to do is win once, or you could lose both games and just hope one of those other situations occurs, and then you're still in. So I think Jayville's almost got this sewn up, but we'll be careful to watch this week and be like, Jayville didn't win, and Team Marines in Colorado both did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, good for Jayville, man. After a weird last year where he was barely even around, couldn't really set lineups to come out and be able to be competitive. It's cool. Okay, so then move on from that to the top team in the division, Doug's Wario.
So I think there might be a slice of white in that pie.
Oh, yeah. I see a little slice of white in there.
Yeah, Clinch's division is 92.9 with winning wildcard being 6%. So there's like a 1.1% chance he's doesn't make the playoffs. But
what has to happen?
Sorry?
Like a lot has to happen, I assume.
I don't think I mentioned it particularly here, but he would need to lose both games, obviously. Mm-hmm. He would need Jayville to win both games. So that means Wario isn't the division winner anymore. And then the situation at the bottom. So, yeah, it's actually listing the situation right there. The situation he doesn't make the playoffs. 2 losses, 2 Jayville wins, 2 Team Marines wins, and Colorado beats Turret Rocks in Week 12. All of those things need to happen for Wario not to make the playoffs, and it happens about 1 in every 100 simulations.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think they're good. They're probably getting the bye Week 2. 2 wins. Half the time that happens, they get it. If they win and Colorado loses even a game, they still get it. So I think they're probably in good shape there.
It's been a damn strong team 2 years in a row, so not too surprised to see this. Okay, let us move on to my famed division, and we'll put up.
Are you just leaving the most interesting one for last?
That's right.
Well, you're jumping all over the place here.
I know. Well, I really just skipped over one in the other conference because it's the more interesting one. Because here's how interesting this one is. There's me. Sad Simpsons. Mark, which Ramon is this again?
I don't know, but what's the funny thing about this is I didn't want to go to the Simpsons because you're using the logo. I wanted to just go with the Ramones. But you Google Sad Ramones or like Sad Joey Ramone or something like that.
Yeah.
There's nothing relevant. Those guys are just loving life.
They were never sad. They're always.
I was like, okay, I'll try angry. They never looked particularly angry either. Like
they're just sunglasses and hair. Like,
yeah,
they don't have any emotion whatsoever. I remember they used to have these. They would show up on the Howard Stern show and they would get into like epic arguments with each other, and that's the only time that you'd see any kind of real weird emotion. But still not on their faces. Their faces would look exactly the same. Sunglasses, hair.
So, yeah, Simpsons was the only thing I could go to where they look like they even kind of had an expression. So,
all right, I'll take it. We have been eliminated. Let us move on to next up. You know what? Mad respect to your cat meme game. Did you put the hat on?
No, someone already did that. I don't need to Photoshop cat. Someone will have already made a Russian cat.
And I was like, how did you find a Stakhanovit cat?
Yeah, that wasn't all that difficult. I wasn't even Googling cat. It's just one of the options that came up.
Well, Turret Rock, formerly the winner of this division, so there has been definitely shuffling, to say the least, in my division. So Turret Rock is out. Let's go to the teams that are in the hunt. First with Team Marines.
Team Marines have been really given a good go this year, been making good moves, and they're still definitely in it. I mean, a 40% chance of clinching the division, not bad. It does mean they have the uphill battle to go against Colorado, though, because they need 2 wins and 2 Colorado losses. Or 2 wins or 2 Colorado losses. The 2 Colorado losses, not likely. It's a good team. But they play Colorado one of those games. So 1 win automatically will result in a Colorado loss. And it's just then in the other week, they need to either win or Colorado to lose. So the key thing is the game against Colorado. They've got to win that one. And then the next week, or I think it's, they play Colorado in week 13. So this week is just giving them options.
Yeah.
As long as they win or Colorado loses, they're still in the battle for the division.
So this is one where I could play legit spoiler. Because I think I'm playing Marines. I'm playing Marines this week, so I can screw everything up for Steven with a win.
Yeah, so you'll see there. They also will win the wild card with a win against you this week. So there's one of it. But a loss against Colorado in week 13, and Jayville also needs to lose twice. So their odds of getting into the wild card pretty low. It's basically try to get the division here.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, like I really thought that it would end up being that the wild card would come out of Rice Division, but Jayville really just punched it through and made a real run. So it's cool. All right, then we move on to the team that we were talking about, the rebranded Colorado Cobras from the Muncie Flyers, and that's all they needed, Phil. Just needed a change of pace, new city name, new team name, new logo.
Whereas Turret Rock changed their name and they just go down the drain.
Exactly.
Colorado's been looking good. As we've talked about, his teams remain, like key players have remained healthy. going into the playoffs, bye weeks are going to be gone. So Colorado will have a good chance. He just needs to not fall victim to that empty part of the pie graph over there.
Yeah.
Now, multiple ways to do that. I mean, the easiest one, just beat Steven in week 13. I don't say the easiest from the standpoint of that's a free win or anything, but it's just the simplest.
Yeah, the simplest road.
That's the easiest thing to have to worry about. But if you don't happen to beat Steven, Israel, there are ways in. There are ways to the division. Beating Turret Rocks this week and Jam playing the spoiler he's mentioning, that will also clinch the division for you.
Jam.
And you can even get the bye week. Steal that from Wario with 2 wins and 1 or more Wario and Jayville and losses. Or even 1 win and 2 losses and a Jayville loss to FF Village. There are ways to get bye weeks. It's not particularly likely, but it's not too improbable. Finally, your wildcard path is pretty unlikely.
Yeah.
It's there. But again, Jayville's pretty much got that sewn up. So really, it's all about that clinching the division and beating Team Marines.
When it's going to come down to week 13. That's going to be an exciting week for to close out this division.
Yeah, most people aren't going to have any stake in it anymore. We'll just be watching the Marines Cobras game. Other than that, I guess the division we're coming up to, because I guarantee relevancy will be going into week 13 with that one.
I love this division. This division turned into such a slogfest. So let's start with the one team that actually has put up some fights. Well, that tank turtle, I've never quite understood. But
doesn't mean it gives me something to Google. Yeah, I mean, Cyril, again, similar to the sandwich story, he was not supposed to be contending this year, but Kyler Murray dragged that team into contention, even if Cyril had no interest in contending.
Just MVP'd the way out.
I think there's more than Kyler Murray that really showed. He had James Robinson originally, too.
He traded him, but James Robinson, he got a couple good games out of him.
Darrell Henderson at the beginning of the season, no one was giving him much respect to be a Rams running back, over 100 points already. Deontay Johnson has been doing better. And Mike Williams, as you discussed earlier. So, his team has actually done all right. But, it's going to be even more interesting next season what happens. And here's my extremely hot take, Jam.
What?
Cyril is going to win the division next year.
Ooh. This is a spicy take. This is quite the spicy take, Phil.
Ryan's team has a lot of aging players, some difficult contracts to manage. I don't think David knows what the hell he's doing and he is going to trip over himself at some point.
He continues to not have that happen, though, somehow.
And like, I don't know,
devoid of picks.
Because Khalil should have been really good this year, but his young guys just aren't developing like you would expect them to.
Yeah. Yeah, like N'Keal Harry has just been a huge disappointment. Considering he should be the top receiver on that team, it just hasn't done it. I think it's still going to continue to be a very interesting division. Like probably the most interesting. But Fort Myers could ruin some things and move up to the top.
Fort Myers has, in addition to these key players like Murray and some of these other guys, and a bunch of draft picks. I think. I believe so. Rebuilding as draft picks. I haven't actually even bothered looking into this.
No, I believe he does.
Oh, let's take a look. I know he doesn't have his own.
He traded James Robinson for first.
Yeah, he must have gotten something useful for that.
I think he got a first out of it, if I'm not mistaken.
Future draft picks. Let's see what he's got here. So he has. Oh, he does have his own draft pick. Okay. So
yeah, right. That makes sense because he kept saying he should be trying to lose.
Oh, shit. And you know what other draft picks he has? Does he have draft picks? What a stupid question by me. He also has Death Valley's draft pick and FF Village's draft pick. The two 11 teams who need the draft picks, but they don't have them. Apparently Cyril has them.
He's going to get 1 and 2? He's going to get picks 1 and 2, basically?
Definitely at this point have picks 1 and 2. Like, there's not even doubt about that anymore. He's literally wrapped up the first and second pick in the draft. And then his team is, when you're looking at potential points, it'll probably fall somewhere around like 6-ish. So it's a pretty good draft. Then the first, top 2 picks and then, a 6 as well. And then he also has like $100 or $60 million to spend right now, not even accounting for any expiring contracts. Put all of that together, and Seattle has a good chance of winning next year. So, the turtle is sad now. I think he'll get a whole new ice cream cone and be good to go next season.
I feel like now finding out about the draft picks, that take isn't so hot anymore. I feel like this is becoming a likely scenario. Like the number 1, 2, and 6 pick in a pretty good draft. Like, oof. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've talked enough about the team that lost. Let's go on to Cotton, who is sitting third. This is such a weird division. Cotton was leading this division at many points. David's been leading it. Khalil's been leading it. So let's talk Cotton.
Yeah, Ryan's biggest problem here is just shitty luck this year.
Yeah.
I think karma is biting him after several seasons of him being like, yeah, I know I'm in the bottom half of the league, but I'm 11-1 right now going into week 13. This is the opposite. His has been easily the best team in the division so far, but he's experienced some tough losses. And unfortunately, the fact that the division is very close in amongst multiple teams makes the past even harder for Ryan, because if there's like a 3-way divisional tie or any sort of 2-way ties, Ryan's bad luck earlier in the season means that he often loses out on the tiebreaker in these situations. So he's a situation where he's a game down, and he doesn't often have a tiebreaker. So his path to the playoffs is 2 wins. He needs to get those 2 wins, and he needs David to lose a game.
And who's he playing? Because is he playing Fort Myers as one of those 2, or is it just David?
Yeah, Fort Myers is one of the 2 games, and then Khalil's is the other. He lost to David in this last week.
Yeah, and as we just mentioned, Fort Myers is not a walk-away win. No. Fort Myers is 5-6 and has won some games.
Yeah, all of these are not easy. That's why 2 wins has a 30% probability, even though Ryan has a very good team.
Mm-hmm. And I guess in wild card, pretty low chance of wild card here.
Yeah, Jason's basically sewn it up. It's one of those things where it's like if Jason manages to lose those 2 really easy games, then other people can step in. But I really think my simulation is overestimating the probability of that happening.
It is super. It's like a super bummer to be in the white division because you have to win it out, and it's pretty goddamn competitive. You don't have a shot at wild card even if you have a great team. All right, so on that point, we'll move on to the next team, second place in the division currently. Turned down for what?
A lot of text on this slide, Phil.
Lower chance of clinching the division than Ryan has.
Well, so Khalil is higher up in the standings, but also as a team that just doesn't seem to do anything.
Yeah. His potential points have been lower than Ryan's. Lower than Ryan's and David's.
Yeah, his potential points have been lower. His actual points scored have been lower. And he has the hardest of the 3 schedules because, as we've said, it's not like Fort Myers is just a free win or anything. It's still the easiest team out of this division.
Yeah.
And Khalil already played that game this last week, so he's got Ryan and David coming up. Now, the positives of that means any win you get means a loss for your rival, and that makes it a little simpler to for your path forward.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about, I won, but so did they. They lost, so it makes it easier from that perspective. But they're tough wins to get. You'll see the 2 wins scenario only 16% of the time there. It's possible for Khalil to win the division with only 1 more win, but it requires some pretty precise scenarios there. So, the easier path is just win the next 2 games. Interestingly, he can still get a bye week. You can't see the sliver on that pie chart because it's 0.1%. But if I lose both games and he wins both games, it's a bye week.
Wow.
And then finally, much like the situation with we were just talking about with Ryan, there's a path to the wild card, but it's not high.
Yeah. Again, one of the most interesting divisions for this reason. So then we'll go to a team that is leading this division. That this might be the first time they've been number 1 in the division. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe so. Normally, it's been Ryan and Khalil who
But look who's coming through.
Well, so much text. So
what happened?
I find it funny because we were actually
discussing
earlier. Once David got his roster looked pretty good, and then once Mike Thomas and McCaffrey came back, that gets even more worrisome. Now, McCaffrey came back and then immediately hurt himself again. But Thomas has been getting targets.
That's a bummer.
He hasn't found the end zone, but he's been getting peppered with targets. If he starts getting thrown to in the end zone, if McCaffrey comes back from the playoffs and David is in them, I'm worried about David's team.
Yeah, David will be a dangerous team
because I don't want to have to play, David and then Jason back to back in order to get to the finals. That sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a tough playoff bracket. Assuming I get the bye, if David wants to get to the finals, he's got to beat Jason then me. If Jason gets to final, David then me. It's not easy for anyone. But right now, David is now the favorite to win the division. The projections do not account for poor lineup choices. It assumes optimal lineup choices. But they clinch the division about half the time. 2 wins gets that about a third of the time, similar to Ryan, actually. The biggest difference here, though, is because David has the extra win at this point over Ryan. It's not so much 2 wins needed. It's just the easiest way to do it. Get 1 win, and there's plenty of ways to get in that way, too. Like winning against Khalil, as long as Ryan loses one of his games, that's all David needs to do. So it's clear that his path is easily the best going forward. His players, even with CMC out, because Mike Davis has been looking not like CMC, but he's been doing well.
He's been doing well.
This is the team to beat in the division right now.
Well, his problem is, who is this other running back?
That is a fantastic. Oh, he was injured too, but he's coming back this week. Mostert.
Oh, is Mostert back this week?
He's supposed to be.
Oof, that changes things.
So, once McCaffrey comes back, it's crazy. But he also actually has a more legitimate chance at the wild card, even though it's not high. It's not like a fractional percent or anything. Because I think he has a tiebreaker over Jason. So it doesn't require 2 times for Jason to lose. He doesn't need to beat him in record. He just needs to tie him in record, and he would actually get the wild card. So if College Ground loses, there's a few scenarios I've mapped out there. They're not worth just reading over the podcast. But if anyone's in that division is interested, screenshot, read through them yourself. But yeah, there's a couple of ways for David to get into the playoffs here. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting finish.
The late surge for Ron Mexico after hitting a lot of injuries and having a lot of really bad luck. He survived. It looked like he was going to be down and out many times in this season. But old David's a survivor.
Well, every week he does the same thing every week where he's like winning and he's like, I'm done. This player is trash. Michael Thomas is a bum. Get him out of here. And it's all preposterous because I'm sure I and many other people probably, when he went on one of these rants, slid him a garbage offer for Michael Thomas, thinking if he really hates this guy much, maybe I can get him cheap. And either David just chose not to do these offers, or alternatively, he just wasn't paying attention and never noticed he had a trade offer in his inbox. Either one is a possibility.
I will say early in the year, I feel like I benefited from a couple reactionary trades with David. It was like, I got Tyler Lockett, and Devontae Parker's probably out. He's busted up his hamstring. Made that trade. Devontae Parker was like fine the next week. I was able to flip Devontae Parker for another pick.
David, a player could be coming off like a 40-point game. The next game, they have like 1 catch or something. He's like, this guy's done. His career is over.
He said this specifically about Tyler Lockett after he came off a 40-point game. Yeah. Tyler Boyd without Joe Burrow, that's gonna take a hit. Tyler Boyd was having himself a year with Joe Burrow.
Here's the good thing for Boyd. I think Higgins takes a bigger hit because Higgins is more like the deep threat and like getting jump balls, muscling out the players, et cetera, et cetera. Boyd is the slot receiver.
Yeah.
So I mean,
he's right in there.
When you're going to like a less confident quarterback, they're going to target the slot receiver more often. So while the completion percentage may go down, I think his targets may go up.
Right. So Boyd, so that's a good point. So Boyd should be okay. Who's the backup? Who's going to come in?
What the Bengals backup QB?
Like who's the QB? Yeah.
They're bringing someone up off the practice squad to start.
Oh,
whoever finished the game last time, they were that annoyed by him, I guess. Ryan Finley. They were that bothered by his
Ryan
play
Finley.
that they're like, hey, dude on the practice squad, not only are we calling you up, we're calling you up and you're starting.
Yeah, that dude was trash. He's been trash anytime he's come back up. I think Ryan Finley's been replaced last year too as a backup. I forget where he was. I'm pretty sure that happened. Oh, it might have been Cincinnati. Sorry, it might have been Cincinnati.
Yeah, because they
right.
didn't have Burrow yet.
So there is the playoff picture. Again, I think White Division comes out. I think this one is going to be more the last few weeks are going to be more exciting in this league in terms of the possibilities.
Clearly, I'm not paying too much attention in the league where I'm losing because I just looked at the waiver report and I was like, Alex Singleton was signed. No one owned Alex Singleton? I was just talking about how awesome he was in FOMFA where I picked him up.
Really?
Apparently,
I would have signed him. God damn it. I would have signed him.
And in this league, I got someone named David Onyemata. So look out for David Onyemata.
This is the first week that I think it's just because it's been such a crazy week work-wise. I didn't even realize the waiver wire was happening.
Yeah.
Like usually I'm on top of it, especially in FOMFA because I'm trying to play spoiler and it's fun to be like, take a shot at this guy, see what he does. All right, so last thing to do, let's get into projections for week 12 in BKB. Oh, not BKB, in FOMFA. So hit me when you're ready.
Yep, the first game we got going on, Toronto versus Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
And Toronto is favored by 52 points.
52 points. Just 52?
Just 52.
Holy shit. Let me see. What does Luis have? Is Teddy Bridgewater back? Who are you going to start?
I assume Bridgewater is back, given they were thinking about activating him last week. So he'll probably play in my mind. If he doesn't play, I'm starting Wentz. As bad as he's been against Seattle, like Washington has the best pass defense in the league, so I can't start Dalton. So it means Wentz comes in. Like there's no question.
All right. So Wentz is projected higher right now. Alvin Cook, Miles Sanders, Cooper Kupp had what a great game for the Rams receivers.
I was so worried going into Monday night. I was like, this is such a key game. And then it was like, and the pass to Cooper Kupp. He had 5 catches within the first 6 minutes of the game.
I was watching that. I'm like, pass it to Robert Woods. And then the pass to Robert Woods.
Well, eventually Woods started getting involved too. But
they both got equivalent catches by the end. Like Kupp had more yardage, but Woods had a touchdown. Like he really got both receivers incredibly involved.
Yeah, Kupp was on pace at one point for 30 catches.
And he was getting like catches after yards after the catch. Like Cooper Kupp had a great game. Going up against San Francisco, which is depleted but still can give trouble.
Not for slot receivers. San Francisco's corners are not good against slot receivers. If anything, I'm expecting this to be good to lock down Robert Woods a little more.
So I'm gonna say, or wait, you start, right?
I guess I can.
I started first last time, so you can start.
If you'll notice, I've finally decided to give Justin Jefferson a go at the expense of
Kirk.
Well, yeah, Kirk was playing against Seattle, and he didn't do as much as I wanted to. So, and obviously, Jonathan Taylor played himself straight out of my lineup. So, yeah, we're putting Justin Jefferson out there, and
he's been good.
Sorry,
he's been good.
Yes, he's been very good, but like I think I started him once and he got 3 catches or something, and I was just irritated, and I never did it again. I apparently started him 3 times previously, and if you go like, can you click on it because it's comical? Can you actually show this on screen? This is indicative of my coaching decisions this year.
I don't think I can bring it up without screenshotting it and risking crashing the computer.
All right, hang on. Let me screenshot this because this is
screenshot and send it to me.
Yes, I will email you this.
This is fun. This is funny though, as I'm looking at his point. I'm looking at his point score, and I can guess which
started Justin Jefferson.
Did you text it to me?
Well, I sent you an email.
Okay.
I didn't know if text would
Yeah,
work. I guess you have MacBooks and Messages works on it.
Yeah. I just gotta wait till it arrives, and then I'll put it up.
So me starting him, I feel is cursing him to failure. Because if it weren't for the games I was starting him, he would be maybe like battling Metcalf for the top receiver on the season. But occasionally I decided to start him for a game, and he's like, okay, yeah, I'm done with football.
Yeah, I'm looking at like his points scored per game, and I can guess. But why don't you talk us through this?
Yeah, so in case anyone isn't aware, NS is where I didn't start him, and S is where I did.
I didn't realize that's what that stood for.
Yeah. So, he has his first big game against the Titans. 7 catches, 175 yards. I'm like, sweet. But I'm like, that might have come out of nowhere. It's a rookie. I want to see him do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense, I think. Next weekend, gets 103 yards. It's like, okay, they've got to be trusting him more now. Because the first part of the season, they weren't. It's like, you know what? This has been looking good. He's going up against the Seahawks.
The last ranked pass defense, which is shown right there.
I'm putting him in. He rewards me with 3 catches for 23 yards. So I'm like, fuck this guy. He's clearly not. I have a lot of good receivers on my team, right? It's not easy to make my lineup. If you're going to go up and put 3 catches for 23 yards, you got to get the hell out of my lineup. So then against the Falcons, he gets 9 catches for 166 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Matt monster game.
Goes into a bye. Comes out of the bye. I'm like, okay, maybe that 1 week I started him was just a bad week. Like, that was a huge game. Yeah. So I started him against the Packers. 3 catches for 26 yards. But you know what, Jam? I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. I learned last time when I pulled him after a bad game. So I'm like, I have faith in my man Jefferson. He's going back in again. 3 catches for 64 yards. Pull him again.
Get out of my lineup.
Catch performances. I pull him again. He gets 8 catches for 135 yards. So
following it up.
And then last week I wasn't playing him. He scored a touchdown, 86 yards.
Yeah.
So you can see my hesitance towards putting this man in the lineup.
Yeah, I can understand that at this point.
I know that was a huge diversion from us picking the games, but that just irritated me because I should love this rookie because he's on my team, he's playing well, but this is why he's getting on my nerves.
He's got a good future. And if it's COVID Thielen, then he'll also have more opportunity.
Yeah, so if I'm picking for 50-something points, Gibson's going to do pretty well. Rodgers, I think, will do pretty well. The rest of his team's not going to do much. I think I cover 50.
You think you cover 50. I agree that you cover 50.
All right. I'd tell you what the next game is, but my computer is doing that thing I mentioned where it just stops properly operating for about a minute, and then it starts again. Okay, it's working again. Give me a second. All right. So next game is Jayville and Wario.
Ooh, good game.
This is a key game here. Important game. And Wario is favored by 37.
Whoa, that's a big favor.
37 for a game against where the worst team in it is 8-3.
Jayville starting Zach Moss over David Montgomery. Keelan Cole. I guess I'm picking first here, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say that Jayville covers that. That's just a big spread.
Keelan comes back, because I think he will be back. He goes in for either McKissick, Moss, or Aguilar.
Yeah.
Probably picks up some points there. Keenan, well, yeah, I agree. I think that's too much of a spread. I'm going with Jayville too.
It just looked too big for the team that's performing this well. And I don't think I've often seen a team on our site projected this high for Wario. Great team. I'm not knocking it, but anyways, next game.
Sandwich versus FF Village Hokage. Sandwich favored by 57.
You go ahead.
All right. Well, Joe Burrow is currently starting for FF Village. Presumably that will become Mitch Trubisky. So
Yeah.
God
Looks
have
like Mitch got the nod. Mark Ingram is starting with COVID.
Sandwich's team has won some games, but it doesn't look particularly good. It's just a matter of how bad FF Village is looking.
Yeah.
And they're looking pretty bad. But 50 points. But they're pretty. Yeah, I'll go Sandwich.
You'll go Sandwich?
I'll go Sandwich.
I feel like I have to go Hokage just because you went Sandwich, but I was going to totally go Sandwich. Am I still going to go Sandwich? Like, the last game, Wario beat Hokage by 137 points. Like, it's some ridiculous number. But yeah, I got to go Sandwich.
Hokage hasn't eclipsed 128 points in the last 4 weeks.
That's ridiculous. This is a bad team. Anyways, I think Hokage keeps up their streak of not winning a game. Well, they definitely keep up the streak, but they also still wouldn't win a game.
We're debating if they're going to 57 points.
Exactly. All right, next up.
Colorado over Turret Rocks by 39.
Over Turret Rocks by 39? Is Turret Rocks that bad? This is my pick, right?
Yes.
Lamar Jackson against Pittsburgh. Tony Pollard and Josh Kelly. Josh Kelly's like lost even the backup job. Kalen Ballage is getting way more run than he is. Even when I don't know when Eckler is back.
This week.
Oh, then yeah. Josh Kelly's like probably not even gonna get any run.
String at this point.
Yeah. T. Higgins.
Philip Lindsay should really be in the lineup. He's basically supplanted Gordon as the top running back, I think.
Yeah, let's hope that he puts Philip Lindsay in the lineup. Who knows? There's no reason for Philip Lindsay not to be in the lineup last week. I think I'll take Colorado.
Yeah, that I can. Maybe
Hey. What's up, Fluff? Holy jeez. It's fighting you. It's fighting
So I'm
words.
looking at Devontae Adams and Mike Evans on this other side, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Colorado too.
All right. We're very agreeable so far. All right, next up.
We got Blitzkrieg Bot versus Team Marines.
Ooh.
Team Marines favored by a mere 13 points.
What? That's the closest I've been, I think. Why? Damn, I'm predicted to do okay.
My cat is trying to bite my. I've never seen her do this. I don't even know what's happening.
Well, I think my Kalen Ballage points are not going to be as good as this because if Eckler's back, then Ballage isn't doing that. All right. It's your pick, sir.
Sorry, it's my pick?
Yeah.
Team Marine. Team Marine.
Marines?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to say that I'm going to get it done.
Oh.
I think Brady doesn't have 2 back-to-back bad games. Gronk is going to feast on that. And my defense has been really goddamn strong. Like that's been
true.
winning. That's been winning me games. I'm really, really pleased about the future of some of these players, like Montez Sweat, Brian Burns, even Hassan Reddick. Like some good performances. Jeremy Chin. Let's see if I can be spoiler. I'll feel bad doing it to Steven, but it'll be fun to spoil it for someone.
Yeah, I don't think spoiler's the same when you're spoiling someone who's not in a playoff position.
Yeah.
You're just ruining it from being a race. That's not being a fun spoiler.
Hey man, I said I would put up competitive lineups, so I'm doing it. All right, who's next?
Let's see here. Cloud to Ground against Death Valley.
Oof.
You know, it's a type game. Death Valley favored. No. Cloud to Ground's favored by
By how many?
63.
How many points?
63.
63. Good Lord. Are you that bad, definitely? Oh, yeah, you are. Cam Akers is getting more usage than he was. I feel like they're projecting Taysom Hill a little high, I feel. Ugh, there's nobody on this team. Darius Leonard. Let's get Darius Leonard.
Darius Leonard looks around and he's like, you got to be kidding.
He's got Scott Miller, who's basically not being used anymore. He's been replaced by Antonio Brown.
Every other player was traded to a contender. Why am I still stuck?
I am shocked that he didn't move Darius Leonard. That's a big spread. But I will take it. Cloud to ground.
Yeah, 100% I'm going cloud to ground.
Yeah. That's going to be a beating. Okay, next up.
Big game here. We have Avocados versus Fort Myers.
Ooh, this is important. And like we said, not a pushover.
The Cados are favored by 11 points.
Exactly. See? Not a pushover. Interesting. This is you calling this one.
Yeah.
Me? Yeah.
It is me. So Alec Ingold can come out if David figures this shit out.
Yeah.
And Raheem Mostert can go back in. So maybe we should say it's like 20 points.
Okay. That's fair.
And even at 20 points, I'm still going to take David.
Taking David? Yeah, I think I'll take Fort Myers just to make it interesting. I do think it's going to be David. I'll just make it interesting. We've had a lot of agreement in FOM for this week.
All right, and finally we have Turned Down for Watt versus 100% Cotton. Turned Down for Watt, favored by 2.
Ooh, god damn, that's close. That's cutting it real close. This is a very important game for both teams. Deshaun Watson against Detroit. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. This is basically who's going to win.
Yep, pretty much.
Juju Smith against Baltimore. Julio is a question mark right now. Might not play.
Brian, there were a couple of Kamara trades this offseason, and I think all of us who traded him are regretting it not only for what he's become, but for the idiocy displayed related to the people we gave him up for. In my I got Miles Sanders, who has been one of the most efficient backs in the league, but it doesn't matter if the coach refuses to give him the ball.
Yeah, you kind of need the coach to give you the ball.
The key part of Ryan's trade, and he gave up some major defenders as well, but one of the key pieces coming back was Juju, and he's put up like some decent games occasionally, but I think he's at best the second option in the offense at this point.
Yeah, the big fantasy point getter and big overall option has been Claypool. Claypool has been fantastic.
And Deontay Johnson has been doing pretty well too. So he's basically in a 3-way split, which isn't good. Yeah.
Ben's spreading it around. I'm gonna take I think Ryan's bad luck continues, so I'm gonna take Khalil. This is a close one though.
All right. Yeah, the game tomorrow afternoon is gonna be the key thing.
What's the game tomorrow afternoon?
Houston versus Detroit. They have both the quarterbacks going.
That's gonna be interesting.
On the other hand, I'm looking at Khalil's team and I like the looks of it, but Ryan has just consistently performed this year. Well, Khalil has consistently not. But Khalil's been winning games, whereas
Ryan has not.
But yeah, you know what? I'll pull one out of your playbook here, and I'll say you took Khalil, so I'll take Ryan here.
All right. That does it for picks in Week 12. Should we quickly look at? I forgot to put these up. The conference things. Anything to bring up here?
Well, first you got to make your lock of the week, and well, I get to make mine first. I'm going to be a gentleman because you've made so many. I'll pick this guy not because I want him, but just for conflict. So you can go ahead and pick first.
Okay, I will take Cloud to Ground.
All right, and I will take Team Marines.
Team Marines to beat the hell out of me.
Well, once again, picking one we didn't agree on.
That's a good call. All right. Sorry, I forgot to put these up. So global conference. Lot of blue for Toronto.
Well, at least the color aligns there with the city, so nothing else different. The wild card. Here's what I like: 5 teams involved in that.
Yeah, look at that.
You don't normally see that, and everything else has been like 2, maybe 3 teams fighting for it. Theoretically, 5 teams with some degree of possibility to get the wild card there, even if Cloud to Ground is the enormous Pac-Man eating all the others.
Yeah. And also in white division, we've already explained, most interesting division. Comes down to pretty close on either ends. Yep.
Khalil is going to have the hardest opportunity there, but I don't think anyone would be shocked if any one of these 3 teams.
Yeah. That's what's going to be fun to watch. All right, moving on to international conference. Bit of a smaller Pac-Man in the wild card, but still 4 teams involved here. The bye week is like there's some shots here too. So this is all turning out to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot more to play for here. The only thing that's almost locked up is Woodson. Well, I guess Woodson and wild card, but the bye week is a good battle, and the Rice division is not 50-50, but not far off of it.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a lot of fun in the finishes, and a lot better than in. Ben Wyatt, which ironically should have been the league.
Yeah, I know.
Where there was everyone competing because we all had an even opportunity at the start.
Yeah, it's really interesting how it works out. I mean, so much has to happen. You have to obviously have put together the right team, but then those guys have to all also show up. And it's gonna be a fun finich. All right.
I'm looking forward to some football tomorrow, and thank you to anyone who is still listening.
Yeah, I appreciate everyone joining, and good luck in the games. See you guys later.
Adios.